Hello, everyone. Have you ever wondered why we always feel happier when we connect with others and why social relationships are so important? In Matthew D. Lieberman's book, Social: Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect, we will explore the profound reasons behind our brains' craving for social connection. Lieberman argues that, even more than the need for food, water, or shelter, social interaction is the most basic and powerful human need. Not only do these relationships help us understand ourselves better, but they are also the key to happiness, success, and even the survival of our species. In this video, we will delve into how our brains have been programmed to connect, empathize, and learn through social interactions. Let's dive into the content of this fascinating book. In the first chapter of the book, Social: Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect, author Matthew Lieberman explores a key concept known as the social brain. He explains that the human brain is not only optimized for performing logical thinking or analytical tasks, but also dedicates a significant portion to processing social relationships. This is reflected in the specific brain regions that are activated when we think about those around us, their emotions, or their behaviors. Lieberman points out that certain areas of the brain, such as the medial prefrontal cortex and the temporal parietal junctions, are particularly important in helping us think about the feelings and perspectives of others. Interestingly, even when we are not directly interacting with anyone, our brains remain in this social state, as if always ready for connection. The author clarifies that the human need for social connection is not merely a pleasant aspect that brings comfort, but an essential part of the brain's operational structure. The ability to connect with others helps humanity to develop and survive. Building social relationships allows us to feel safe, loved, and valued in life. Furthermore, Lieberman provides evidence that social isolation can cause pain similar to physical pain. Numerous studies have shown that when individuals experience feelings of loneliness or social exclusion, brain regions similar to those activated during physical injury are also engaged. This indicates that social pain can deeply affect us, comparable to physical harm. Through this chapter, Lieberman demonstrates that our brains are wired to prioritize social relationships. This not only impacts mental health, but also enables humanity to exist and develop in ways that no other species on the planet can. In Chapter 2 of the book, Social: Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect, Matthew Lieberman continues to delve into the importance of social relationships, arguing that, for humans, the need for social connection is even more essential than food, water, or shelter. Lieberman emphasizes that from infancy, humans have relied on relationships with others for survival. An infant cannot care for itself, and it is the social interactions with close caregivers that enable us to survive and thrive. He compares the importance of social connection to basic survival needs like food and water. To illustrate, he points out that loneliness and social exclusion can have significant detrimental effects on both mental and physical health. One prominent example presented is that many people can endure material deprivation but cannot overcome prolonged loneliness. Psychological studies show that individuals living in a state of loneliness often have higher mortality rates, and the risk of developing chronic illnesses such as heart disease, diabetes, and depression also increases. In other words, loneliness can decrease human lifespan similarly to unhealthy habits like smoking or lack of exercise. Lieberman also explains the mechanisms by which the brain processes this social need. He mentions that our brains have evolved to prioritize social relationships, helping humanity build strong communities and overcome challenges in the natural environment. The connections and collaborations with others have become the vital weapons that allow humans to surpass other species in the evolutionary chain. This chapter also presents an important argument. Social connection not only brings happiness, but is also a core factor for our survival. A person with good social relationships will feel safe, supported, and find meaning in life. Therefore, Lieberman asserts that social connection is the most profound and essential need of humanity, surpassing even basic material needs. In Chapter 3, Matthew Lieberman delves into an important concept, social pain, and how it affects humans in a manner comparable to physical pain. He shows that when we are excluded or hurt in social relationships, our brains respond in ways very similar to when we experience physical pain. Lieberman begins this chapter by explaining that, in the course of evolution, humans have learned that being separated from the community is extremely dangerous. If we are isolated from our social group, our chances of survival decrease significantly. For this reason, the brain has developed a warning mechanism in the form of social pain to prevent us from falling into states of solitude or exclusion. Neuroscience studies show that the brain regions associated with perceiving physical pain, such as the anterior cingulate cortex, also activate when we experience rejection or loneliness. This explains why experiences such as breakups, losing friends, or being excluded from a social group are so painful. It is not only a feeling of emotional hurt, but also a strong physiological response from the body. Lieberman cites several experiments on social pain, where people feel hurt when excluded from a simple game, even if it is online. Despite no actual physical harm, participants still report significant pain. This demonstrates that social pain can have a profound impact on us, comparable to physical injury. He also explains that human societies have developed many forms of social punishment, such as isolation, expulsion from the community, or even imprisonment. These punishments not only serve to deter wrongful behavior, but also strike at the deep-seated pain in our minds, the fear of being separated from society. Lieberman concludes that social pain is a powerful tool that the brain has developed to keep us connected to our communities and relationships. This helps us cooperate better and build sustainable communities. In Chapter 4, Matthew Lieberman introduces an important concept regarding how the human brain automates the processing of social relationships, called the social default mode. He argues that even when we are not intentionally thinking about society or relationships, our brains function as a social machine, continuously processing information about those around us without our conscious awareness. Lieberman explains that our brains have two primary modes, the task-focused mode and the default mode. Interestingly, when we are not focused on a specific task, our brains do not actually rest as we might think. Instead, it switches to the default mode, a state in which the brain begins to think about people and the social relationships around us. Research shows that the medial prefrontal cortex and other brain regions related to social processing tend to be most active when we are not concentrating on any particular task. This is why, when we are idle, our minds often drift to thoughts about loved ones, friends, or those we encounter in our daily lives. The social default mode of the brain helps us maintain empathy, consider the emotions of others, and anticipate social responses without having to think too hard. Lieberman suggests that this automaticity is a way that the brain has evolved to optimize human social interaction because relationships and connections are vital to our survival. This chapter also explains that this ability allows humans to easily engage in complex conversations, understand nonverbal cues, and respond appropriately in various social situations with minimal effort. This helps us maintain social relationships effectively and flexibly, even when we are not fully aware of the process. Finally, Lieberman emphasizes that the social default mode of the brain demonstrates that we cannot escape the influence of society in our daily lives. Even when we are alone or do not intend to think about others, our brains continuously operate to maintain social connections. In Chapter 5, Matthew Lieberman explores the idea that humans have a natural tendency to influence each other through social and cognitive processes. He emphasizes that we are not just independent individuals with our own thoughts and behaviors, but also creatures programmed to impact and be impacted by those around us. Lieberman begins this chapter by introducing the concept of social influence and how it plays a crucial role in shaping our thinking, decisions, and behaviors. He explains that from a young age, humans learn through observation and imitation of others. We are influenced not only by familiar individuals, but also by the broader society around us, from cultural symbols and idols to even strangers. A core element of social influence is the process of emotional contagion, where one person's emotions can easily affect the emotions of another without them realizing it. Lieberman provides examples from everyday situations, such as when someone appears happy or sad. We often naturally respond in a similar way. This stems from our capacity for empathy, a part of the social brain that helps us understand and share emotions with others. Additionally, Lieberman explains the phenomenon of social conformity, when individuals adjust their behaviors or viewpoints to align with the group. Research shows that our brains tend to reward agreement with others' opinions and punish us when we disagree or separate from the group. This creates a strong motivation to adhere to social norms, sometimes leading to the abandonment of personal beliefs. Lieberman argues that social influence is not only a part of modern life, but also a decisive factor in the evolutionary process of humanity. Living in large communities and interacting with others has helped humans build complex social systems, leading to the creation of current civilization. It is our capacity for mutual influence that has enabled us to develop shared values, rules, and cultures. In conclusion, this chapter asserts that the ability to influence and be influenced is essential for maintaining social cohesion. Lieberman states that instead of being mere independent individuals, we are components of a larger social network, where interactions and mutual influences determine not only individual behavior, but also impact society as a whole. In Chapter 6, Matthew Lieberman explores the human ability to read and understand the thoughts and emotions of others, a skill often referred to as theory of mind. Lieberman emphasizes that this is a crucial part of how we build and maintain social relationships. The chapter begins by explaining that from a very young age, humans have the ability to sense and infer the thoughts and intentions of others. This ability helps us predict their behaviors and understand their needs and emotions better. Lieberman likens this capability to a form of superpower for humans, as it not only enhances our communication, but also plays a decisive role in the development of complex social communities. According to Lieberman, certain regions in the brain, particularly the medial prefrontal cortex, play a central role in activating this process. When we try to understand another person's mind, this brain area is highly active, helping us read thoughts and feelings through facial expressions, tone of voice, and behaviors. Lieberman also emphasizes that the ability to read others' minds is an important evolutionary skill. In ancient hunter-gatherer societies, understanding the intentions and emotions of others could be a matter of survival. If you could guess that someone had bad intentions or was ready to support you, you would have an advantage in survival and development. Thus, this ability has become an indispensable part of the social structure of humanity. An interesting point Lieberman mentions is the variability in individuals' ability to read others. Some people are very adept at understanding others, while others struggle with this. He notes that individuals with good theory of mind skills tend to be more successful in social relationships and careers because they can predict and respond to others' needs effectively. However, Lieberman also cautions that reading others' minds is not always accurate. We can make mistakes in drawing conclusions based on others' emotions or behaviors, especially when the information is incomplete or misunderstood. Therefore, he encourages understanding and caution in social judgments. In conclusion, this chapter asserts that the ability to read others' minds is an essential and important skill in all aspects of human life. It not only helps us connect more deeply with those around us, but also serves as a foundation for building and maintaining long-lasting and sustainable social relationships. In Chapter 7, Matthew Lieberman explores one of the most prominent traits of humanity, the ability to cooperate. He argues that cooperation is not only a part of social relationships, but also a key factor that has helped humanity develop and survive. Lieberman begins this chapter by analyzing the concept of cooperation and how it has been formed throughout evolutionary history. According to him, the ability to cooperate has allowed our ancestors to survive in harsh conditions and develop complex communities. Instead of acting independently, humans have learned to work together to share resources, protect one another, and achieve common goals that an individual could not accomplish alone. The chapter delves into research on how the brain responds when we cooperate with others. Lieberman emphasizes that when we work together, the brain releases chemicals like oxytocin, a hormone related to affection and social bonding. This chemical not only creates a sense of comfort, but also enhances trust and connection among individuals in the group. Lieberman also provides examples of cooperation in nature and among animal species. He compares species that have the ability to cooperate with those that do not. Cooperative species can often achieve more, from hunting to building complex social organizations. One important point Lieberman highlights is that effective cooperation requires mutual trust. He describes trust as the foundation for cooperation, and when trust is broken, cooperation becomes challenging. Lieberman cites studies showing that trust not only influences individual behavior, but also affects how groups function and achieve common goals. The chapter also addresses the challenges humans face during cooperation. Common issues include conflicting personal interests, perceptions of unfairness, and difficulties in reaching consensus. Lieberman advises that to overcome these challenges, groups need to create an open environment where individuals feel comfortable sharing their opinions and ideas. Finally, Lieberman concludes that the ability to cooperate is not just a skill but also an important factor in human survival and development. He emphasizes that in today's world, promoting cooperation among individuals and groups is more necessary than ever, from addressing global issues to building strong communities. In Chapter 8, Matthew Lieberman focuses on the concept of community and its significance for human existence and development. He argues that connection to a community is not only a social need, but also an essential part of personal and psychological growth. Lieberman begins this chapter by explaining that throughout history, humans have lived in small communities where mutual support and bonding are crucial. He points out that living in a community not only provides safety and protection, but also creates a social environment for us to grow and thrive. This chapter also addresses the positive impact of community on mental health. Lieberman states that individuals with strong social connections tend to have better health, more positive moods, and higher resilience than those who live in isolation. Support from the community helps us overcome difficulties and challenges in life, thus improving our overall quality of life. Lieberman also discusses the concept of loneliness and its negative effects. He explains that even though we may live in a crowded society, feelings of loneliness can still exist if there is no genuine connection with others. This feeling not only causes sadness but can also negatively affect physical health, making those who are lonely more susceptible to serious illnesses. The chapter further discusses the role of social organizations and communities in building connections. Lieberman emphasizes that organizations, from families and friends to larger entities like churches or clubs, can foster a sense of belonging, helping individuals feel part of something greater. Quote. Finally, Lieberman asserts that connection and attachment to the community are indispensable parts of human nature. He encourages readers to seek and build positive social relationships, participate in community activities, and improve their mental and physical health. In Chapter 9, Matthew Lieberman explores the aspects of building and maintaining relationships in society. He emphasizes that the ability to form relationships is not only based on emotions, but also a complex process that involves both art and science. Lieberman begins this chapter by explaining that relationships are not merely simple connections between individuals. They are complex networks formed through interaction, emotions, and trust. He asserts that successful relationship building requires both social skills and a deep understanding of human psychology. One important point that Lieberman highlights is the role of empathy in establishing and maintaining relationships. He explains that empathy helps us understand and share the feelings of others, creating a deeper connection. When we express empathy, we not only make others feel heard and understood, but also strengthen trust and attachment within the relationship. This chapter also addresses the key factors that determine success in relationship building, including effective communication and conflict resolution skills. Lieberman explains that communication is not just the exchange of information, it is also a way to express one's emotions, needs, and desires. Ineffective communication can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts, which can damage relationships. Lieberman also presents studies showing that individuals who are better at resolving conflicts tend to maintain longer-lasting and more sustainable relationships. He encourages readers to learn how to face and resolve conflicts positively rather than avoiding or placing blame, to protect and strengthen relationships. An important part of this chapter is Lieberman's exploration of the psychological benefits of building and maintaining positive relationships. He points out that strong relationships not only enrich our lives but also contribute to improved mental and physical health. Research has shown that people with good relationships often experience lower stress levels and have higher resilience when facing difficulties. Finally, Lieberman concludes that building and maintaining relationships is an art that requires patience, effort, and skill. He encourages readers to actively seek out and develop positive relationships, while emphasizing the importance of connection in life. In Chapter 10, Matthew Lieberman looks toward the future of social connections in the context of modern society, particularly in the digital age. He analyzes the opportunities and challenges that individuals face when building relationships in this increasingly complex environment. Lieberman begins the chapter by emphasizing that technology has brought numerous conveniences, enabling us to connect more easily with others regardless of geographic distance. However, he also warns that the rise in the use of social media can lead to feelings of loneliness and isolation, a phenomenon highlighted by many studies. While we may have hundreds or thousands of friends on social media, genuine connections with individuals still require direct and sincere interactions. He analyzes how social networks can facilitate short-term interactions but may also diminish the quality of deeper relationships. Lieberman stresses that true connection requires time, attention, and trust elements that can be overlooked in digital communications. This chapter also explores the impact of technology on how we communicate. Lieberman points out that while technology can enhance our ability to connect, it can also make us less sensitive in understanding and expressing emotions. The use of emojis or brief messages may not fully convey emotions and intentions, leading to misunderstandings. Lieberman addresses the concept of social attitudes and how they may shift when we live in a digital environment. He notes that frequent exposure to diverse information and perspectives can foster openness and empathy, but it can also lead to division and hostility if conflicting views are not constructively addressed. A crucial point in this chapter is Lieberman's call for creating a more positive culture of connection. He encourages individuals to seek and build deep relationships, whether in real life or online. He emphasizes that focusing on high-quality relationships can bring numerous benefits to mental health and personal well-being. Ultimately, Lieberman concludes that in this increasingly interconnected world, it is vital to uphold the values of direct interaction, empathy, and trust. We need to find ways to enhance social connections while remaining aware of the challenges that technology presents. We have just explored the highlights of the book, Social, Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect, and found that social connection is not only a basic human need, but also a decisive factor for our health and development. From cooperation, trust, to building relationships and the value of community, all play an important role in the life of each individual. Matthew Lieberman has shown that in this increasingly digital world, maintaining deep and sincere connections with each other is more essential than ever. While technology offers many conveniences, we must not forget that direct interactions, empathy, and trust are what truly create lasting connections. I hope the knowledge and lessons from this book will help you better understand the importance of relationships in life. Take the time to connect with those around you, share your feelings, and build positive relationships, as these are the keys to a happy and prosperous life. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the next ones. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below about your views on social connection and your experiences in building relationships. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos.